You might wonder how simple breath can carry you into something vast. How the quietest moment, like the hush before thunder, can be louder than 1,000 thoughts. And maybe, just maybe, you don't have to understand everything to know that something deep inside you already does. Because something inside you knows what it's like to dissolve the idea of separation, to feel the boundary between you and the stars blur like breath on a mirror, to remember what it means to be connected, not as a thought, but as a truth deeper than thought. A drop of water holds the memory of oceans, just as you right now hold the memory of being whole. As you listen, really listen, as though every word were a key unlocking a door you didn't know was closed, you might find yourself remembering something that feels strangely familiar. Like the first time you touched bark and felt time whisper. Like the moment you heard silence speak in sacred tones. Like laughing so hard, something false broke inside you, and everything real rushed in to take its place. And what if you're not here to learn anything new, but to remember what your soul always knew? That life is not a puzzle to solve, but a sacred song to surrender to. And this song sings in patterns. All is one. Surrender is power. Let go to become more. The self is not a cage, but a portal. Just like mescaline opens the eye behind your eyes. These ideas begin to take root quietly, curiously, completely. Let's say there's a forest, and in that forest there's a tree that's never forgotten the sky it grew towards. That tree doesn't question its worth. It doesn't strive for connection, it is connection. You're like that. Let me teach you. Beliefs become biology, emotions become architecture, language becomes the code of your internal operating system. And all it takes is remembering that the old programs, the ones that say you're not enough, or this is all there is, they're just echoes in a canyon you've already walked out of. What if fear is just excitement with the brakes on? What if confusion is the mind's way of rearranging itself to hold more truth? What if resistance means you're exactly where you should be? And as you wonder, you're already learning. You're not a seeker. You're the space the seeking happens in. You're not broken. You're breaking open. You're not a body with a soul. You're a soul dreaming it's a body. And just as the desert blooms after the rain, you'll find your inner landscapes respond to attention like sunlight. You know the moment when you're not sure if you're awake or dreaming, but something feels more real than real. That's where change happens. Not when you're thinking, but when you're feeling into the space between thoughts. Because certainty isn't the absence of doubt. It's the presence of something deeper than thought. And that presence is already in you. Beliefs become bridges, language becomes light, and surrender becomes strength. Because you know, there are moments, strange, sacred moments, where you don't know if you're remembering something or becoming it. Have you ever stood still long enough to feel the wind making decisions for the trees? Because when you do, something opens, not with sound, but with a knowing. And as you imagine that now or later, you may begin to sense how it's never been about learning, but rather absorbing, like soil drinks rain, or a dream drinks time, and forgets to tell you it's not real. There was a man who once forgot everything, not by accident, but on purpose. He'd studied all the books, read all the teachings, but one day he whispered, "What if none of this is it? What if I've been remembering wrong?" So he went into the desert and let the sky rewrite him. There, where language melts like wax, he met a truth, not told in words, but in colour, in rhythm, in breath. He learned that to surrender control was the highest act of power. He learned that being lost was the first step in being found. He learned that beliefs, they're not bricks, they're feathers caught in wind. Let's say you pick up a feather. You just see it. You feel the tiny barbs. The whisper of flight still cling to it. And in that moment you realise, this isn't just a feather. This is the pattern of letting go, the structure of surrender, the architecture of intuition. The belief that the softer you hold reality, the deeper it flows into you. Now install that right now. Feel it sliding under the surface of your thoughts. No need to understand, just breathe. Another person once held a stone and noticed it humming. Of course it wasn't humming. Not to the ears, but to the soul. It was a symphony. That stone taught them. You don't access to it by force. You wait for it to reveal itself to those who stop needing it. And so without needing to know how, you can begin to realize that healing isn't a goal. It's a homecoming. Enlightenment isn't light. It's gravity turned inward. You might notice now how your thoughts are slowing down just enough to let new ones in. Not words, but structures of feeling. Because some language teaches by bypassing. Like a whisper that echoes after it's heard. A metaphor that infects the spine before the mind catches it. Like you're not here to learn. You're here to remember what you've always known was waiting. Yes, you were born with these beliefs. They're just buried under expectations and named unrealistic. Once upon a time, a marionette realized the strings were imaginary. And when it danced with no hand above, everyone gasped, because they'd never seen freedom that free. And from that moment on, it taught others, not by telling, but by moving gracefully, effortlessly, like you can now. Like your body already knows how to, because the body knows what the mind resists. What if the part of you that you used to reject are the very voices guiding you home? You look in the mirror. At first, it's just you. But stare long enough, and the mirror starts whispering, what if?